Hey everybody, it's your old buddy, Uncle Rich, the truth detector. And guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a lot of truth in tonight's show, but there's got to be some elements of truth. But guys, tonight's show, this is the only thing I can say. The name of tonight's show is Make America Hate Again. And guys, you see all these people walking around with these red hats on. But you know, have you ever really looked at them closely? So anyway, Kurt, can you bring up the hat? Because I just want to look at that, guys. And you know, what's been going on with Trump and the way he's amping up the hatred and the way things aren't going right for him. And you know, just recently, on last Friday, the Supreme Court told Trump to go take a hike. Said, forget it. You're not going to put your citizenship question on the census. So guys, just to verify what I'm telling you, we're going to show you still number 01, and you'll see this Trump backs down on including citizenship question. And guys, I'm sorry, I got the wrong parameters, but I just wanted to show you that Trump backed down, because when you see the next clip that we're gonna play, I want this to be indelibly etched into your mind so that you'll never forget this for as long as you live. Now guys, this is so strong and so heavy, I used the old Beetlejuice treatment on it where I played it 3 times so you can't miss it. So Kurt, number 02, please.
Not only didn't I back down, I backed up. Not only didn't I back down, I backed up.
I backed up.
Not only didn't I back down, I backed up.
Guys, when I first heard that, I tell you, they almost had to resuscitate me. I'm saying, I just can't believe it. And it brought back to mind an old movie that I was very fond of. And I'm sure there's some younger people that are watching that aren't familiar with this, but we're gonna play you a little teaser from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and watch the very, very beginning of the clip, because it's so important to what Trump's saying and what they're doing in the clip. So Kurt, number 03, please.
Giving up?
Giving up?
No, just warming up.
Just warming up.
Warming up.
Kurt, can you play that again, please? Listen to the beginning, guys. Giving up? No? There you go. Hit it.
Giving up?
Giving up? All right, so you heard it, right?
No, just warming up. Warming up. Warming up.
Guys, we'll play the whole clip later, but when I heard Trump say that, it reminded me of this. The only thing is, Jack Nicholson is an actor. And Jack Nicholson is portraying a person that's in an insane asylum. Guys, what more do I say? I mean, what more can you possibly say when the President of the United States is being affiliated with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? I mean, really. But you know, what really gets me is I was giving everybody on Facebook the business because of what's been going on with the hate down at the border. And I kept saying to everybody, why won't they allow cameras? Why won't they allow videos? If everything is so hunky-dory and so good down there, why won't they show us? Well, guys, they finally did show us. And they showed us for a reason that only Republicans would want. And that's so they can evoke fear and hate. And you could see people in cages. And what bothers me is Pence was there, Lindsey Graham was there, Mike Lee was there. These guys, they have to wear masks, the smell is so bad. And what do? You know, and it's to evoke hate and fear, and this is what really drives me nuts. So the one time that they let cameras in, it was just to stir up the simple folk and to build the hate and the fear. And guys, you know, Chris Cuomo said it right, and it's a message of fear. So let's play the little teaser with clip number 4, Kurt.
Why? I'll tell you why. You're not going to hear this president talking about these conditions with compassion, have you? You're not going to see him come down there.
Look at those guys. Look at them.
You're not going to see him with the kids, have you?
Look how
Why?
sick that is.
Because these kids' faces don't sell. Feed.
This sells, though.
These faces do.
That's right.
That's why they let them into these facilities.
There you go.
That's why they got to show cameras with the men. Harshness of these conditions work for this administration because they send a message of deterrence. You don't want to be like this, do you? Ooh. Now, what's the reality?
What's the reality? Well, we're going to show you the reality because that's what we do on this show. That's what we try to do on this show. But most of the times, our efforts get thwarted because I tell you, the president is the master of deception. He's good. I'm telling you, I get exhausted listening to him. It's like juggling, you know? He never stops. Really, he's the best circus in town. But guys, what happens is when you stir up the simple folk, when they start to hear that racism is okay, and you know, like when Trump started his campaign, the Mexicans, they're rapists, they're murderers, they're drug smugglers, and this has an effect. And the next clip we're going to show you these 2 white women, older than middle-aged women. And they go berserk in a Burger King restaurant because somebody is speaking Spanish, mentioning Mexicans, and they go off the hinge. And guys, this is not the first clip, but maybe we might have to make this a weekly feature because this just keeps happening. And these people feel empowered. How are they empowered? Trump. It's really, I tell you, and a lot of these are good Christians, but they've gone astray. So anyway, we'll show you some ignorant racists at a Burger King, and watch the manager. Just watch how he deals with this, and I tell you, he's a gentleman. He did the right thing, but this nonsense has got to stop. So Kurt, number 5, please. This volume's a little low, guys, so you might have to read it.
Guess what, man? I'm not Mexican.
I'm not Mexican, but you're being prejudiced.
Finish my meal and then I'll... You know what? I'll do it for you, man. I'll call the cops and have you trespass. It'll be easier for me. It'll be easier for you to have people like you, so ignorant and disrespectful. We are ignorant.
Ignorant and disrespectful. And then she says, we're not ignorant. Sweetheart, if you're not ignorant, you're stupid. It's that simple. It's the only thing I can say to you. You've been brainwashed. You're an evil human being. And you know, years ago, I remember hearing people speak at the mall, or I forget where it was, and I said, you know what? You're in my country, you speak my language. Well, guys, what's happened is we're starting to diversify. We're starting to understand it's not all one way. We've got to learn to get all different cultures. And guys, I don't speak Spanish. I don't think I ever will. But I'm more tolerant because I realize that there's more to the United States than being a white nationalist. But sometimes, you know, this is what happens. These poor ladies, you know, but they watch Fox News, they hear the nonsense, and then you're going to say, oh, Rich, Fox News. Don't blame it on Fox News. Guys, the next clip we're going to play you is from a guy that worked for Fox News for years. And they're all starting to bail. They can't do it anymore. I mean, years ago, Fox kind of had an idea, but they've gone so far over the edge, it's a shame. But guys, we'll let, I forget who it is, but he'll introduce himself. And when you watch this, you'll go, wow. So Kurt, number 6, please.
I saw, in my view, Fox, particularly the primetime hosts, attacking our constitutional order, the rule of law, the Justice Department, the FBI, Robert Mueller, and oh, by the way, the intelligence agencies. And they're doing it for ratings and profit.
Guys, they do it for ratings and for profit. And that's it. And you listen to people like Kenny Johnson and Uncle Joey. Oh, you know, Fox has so much, such better ratings than NBC and CNN. And the answer's simple. Yeah, misery loves company. They want to deal with like-thinking people. They don't want to challenge nothing. They don't want to think. They want to hear and, that's me. That's the way I think. And guys, I tell you, it's sad. It's sad. But, you know, with the, Kurt, we played 6, right? Because now we're going to go and we're going to take it one step further. And guys, this is Chris Wallace with Kelly Ann Conjob. And at the end of the clip, she's going to say something about facts. So, Kurt, number 7, please.
But how does it help for the president to minimize the situation and say it's much better than what they had, or for Vice President Pence and Kevin Quirk's piece to say they're all being well treated when your own, I mean, you can look at the conditions there.
Your own
it's a
eyes
disaster.
tell you.
Let me just say a couple things that are facts.
Guys, one of the first shows we did on her was what? Alternate facts. When she said alternate facts, it was like listening to Trump today when he said, I didn't back down, I backed up. Just tell us, all you got to do is tell people like Ken Johnson and Uncle Joey, they think ass backwards. So just tell them everything in reverse. That's the way it is. Tell them the exact opposite of what you want them to know, and they do it all the time. I'm telling you. And now you know why I call them the simple folk. But the next clip is we're going to show you with a clip with Chuck Todd. And guys, I want you, so many people have walked away from Trump that just about everybody in his administration is acting. You got acting this, acting that. Guys, I can keep saying it, but it's better if you hear it and you watch it scroll by. So Kurt, number 8, please.
We got an acting labor secretary, an acting defense secretary. Actually, we've had 2 acting defense secretaries since the Mattis resignation. Chief of staff is acting, but he's about to be the longest serving chief of staff. You saw PBB. I can't even say the names fast enough, and they keep going, as you see here. And we're only showing you number 1s and number 2s in these vacancies. There are vacancies that are 3rd and 4th and 5th level down as well. So you may ask yourself, is this any way to run the government?
Is this any way to run? No, because nobody's running it. Everybody's running away from it. How could you, I don't know how people do it. I just don't know how they do it. You couldn't pay me enough to sit there and have dinner with Trump and not call him a lying sack of shit. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. And guys, the next clip.
$192,000 a year.
100? Okay, but anyway. The next clip we're going to play you is somebody that doesn't act, somebody that tells you what's going on, and I'm telling you, this is the one guy that finally opened my eyes when it comes to politics and government. Because with Bernie, if there's one thing you're going to get, it's the truth. And that's why I love the guy. That's why I got into politics, because once you start to hear the nonsense that goes on, you know, I was ignorant. like those women were. I was ignorant to what was going on. I used to think the Republican Party cared about people. Now I realize one thing. And you know, when it comes to racists, all Republicans are not racists. But all racists are Republicans. And guys, hey, let's be honest with each other. And the fact that nobody is standing up to Trump is what bothers me. This is what, nobody has the Galaducci's to say, hey, Mr. Trump, Mr. President, stop already. Stop. All right, so anyway, Kurt, we didn't play the Bernie clip, right? I talked over it. So number 9, please.
They determine in their investments all over this country whether jobs stay in the United States or go abroad. They determine through their control of corporations whether workers earn a decent wage or whether CEOs make 300 times what their workers make. They determine whether people have health care or not.
So guys, it gets very simple. The people with the money control everything. And you know, now we're seeing this thing finally. You know, people are starting to get a semi-living wage of $15 an hour. But I heard at Amazon today, a lot of people are walking off the job because it's their Christmas in July sale. And from what I understand, the parameters these people at Amazon have to meet, I thought I heard they say they had to pack 600 things an hour. That can't be possible. That's not possible. But, you know, 60 things an hour, not 600. But anyway, you know, taking advantage of people is what drives me nuts. And, you know, we're talking about Bernie and being fair and being, you know, we're going to talk about the economic equality, and that's more important than the races. But guys, Stephen King wrote a book called The Dead Zone. I'm not familiar with it, haven't seen the movie, but I will now. And he equates this guy, Greg Stilson, almost Trump-like. And I want to tell you, the clip that we're going to play you know, after we do the short version, is going to blow you away. So don't go anywhere. And you guys know, we play the short clips and then we play the full length after after we get through the teasers. So anyway, Kurt, let's have a little fun with number 10 and Stephen King.
The first scene in the book is Greg Stilson at the beginning of his career, and he's selling Bibles, actually. He's a door-to-door salesman.
Bible! Nothing beats the Bible. Nothing beats the Bible, not even the art of the deal.
He's a huckster from the word go.
He's a huckster from the word go. And guys, anyone that's been watching the show knows that Trump didn't write the art of the deal. Tony Schwartz did. And we played many clips from Tony Schwartz proving what a bonehead Trump really is. But we'll have, I'm telling you, you're going to love that segment of the show. And the next short clip is, why did Trump pull out? Or it should be, why didn't Trump's father pull out? But anyway, this is about the Iranian deal and why Trump left. So anyway, let's have some fun with number 11.
More leaked British diplomatic cables. These ones saying that US President Donald Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear pact simply to spite his predecessor Barack Obama. That was the assessment of former UK Ambassador to Washington, Kim Darroch.
So guys, he pulled out just to spite Obama. Racial? You bet. Kenny, Uncle Joey, on my, you finally going to own up to it? You're going to say, yeah. Now the question is, are you racist too? Are you racist when it comes to the economy? Not only with people's skin color, that's the important thing. You know, we're being robbed by these billionaires, and how do they do it? By creating the hate, they create the division. Yeah. They want everything for free. Yeah, those liberals want it for free. Come on, stop it already, will you? And guys, even Tucker Carlson can take the Green New Deal and make it racial. Why? Because it's Fox News. This is how you sell stuff. So, Kurt, let's prove my point with number 12, please.
Manufacturing crises is the less preferred way to exert control over the country. A decade ago, for example, only wackos in bed sheets were called racists. Then, during the last election, Donald Trump was denounced as a racist. Now Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden are being written off as racists. What's going on here?
What's going on here? What's going on? See, it's simple. It's simple. You're brainwashing the simple folk. Kenny! Guys, I tell you, you want to have fun? Go on Facebook, tell Kenny you love him. Oh yeah, Kenny wants me to go to church because he says if I go to church, I'll see God. And I said, man, Kenny, so I got to go to a place where I got to pay to get in to see God? Why, you can't come right here in the studio? And anyway, I like those gods that heal people. I like those guys a lot better. You know what I mean? I love to watch the guys that come in and hose the simple folk, take them for all they're worth while they're preaching this nonsense. But anyway, so guys, now we go back to the beginning. And we'll just let the hate explode. So now we play the longer clips. We have more fun. And remember, if there was something in the beginning of the show that tickled your fancy, you can more or less figure out where it's going to be replayed on the longer length. All right? So anyway, now we come to our smoke if you got a moment. So Kurt, number 22, please.
Not only didn't I back down, I backed up.
I backed up.
Not only didn't I back down, I backed up. Not only didn't I back down, I backed up. Because anybody else would have given this up a long time ago. The problem is we had 3 very unfriendly courts. They were judges that weren't exactly in love with this whole thing. And they were wrong. But it would have taken a long time to get through those courts. You understand that better than anybody, John. It would have taken a long time back up to the Supreme Court. So I asked, is there another way? And somebody said there's a way that might be better. It might be more accurate. They explained it. I said, then what are we wasting time? We're going to be in court for the next 2 years. What are we wasting time for? In the meantime, we have to, by law, have the printing done. So the printing has started, and we're already finding out who the citizens are and who they're not. And I think more accurately. So when I heard this, I said, I think that's actually better. I think what we're doing is actually better. And only the fake news, which there's plenty, would say differently.
He thinks it's better, and only the fake news would report that it's not. I mean, you know what, guys, I got to be honest with you. One of the reasons why I try never to lie, and I try, is because I could never remember what I told people. So I just tell them the truth, get it over with, pay the price, pay the piper. If you screw it up, just spit it out, get it over with. This way you don't, for the rest of your life, you don't have to keep twisting things around. Trump is in so deep. The best thing to say to Trump right now is, stop digging. Mr. President, stop digging. When you're in a hole, stop digging. But he can't. And nobody around him can tell him. Nobody can talk to him. He's a sick man. But guys, Jack, what's his name? I can't believe Jack Nicholson. He was a sick man too. But he was an actor. And I want to tell you, guys, this movie was so good. So we're going to have a little fun with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with number 23, Kurt.
No, nobody could ever. Look at that thing. Get out of my way, son. You're using my oxygen, you know what I mean?
Given up?
No, just warming up. Warming up. Warming up. This will be the one. All right, baby. Come on, get it in there. But I tried, didn't I? God damn it. At least I did that.
Guys, two different aspects, right? But I mean, you get the point. But, you know, I tell you that for the younger audience, if you haven't seen it, you got to do yourself a favor. There's a lot of life lessons to be learned in that movie. And the next clip, we're going to go back to Cuomo and back to the people in the cages. And I want to tell you guys, when I was watching this, to see Pence and to see Lindsey Graham standing there, and then to hear Lindsey Graham was out playing golf with Trump yesterday. And, you know, I don't know if you heard the spat with the four congresswomen that he's in a fight with now. No, I'm telling you, the guy is going to melt down. Something's going to happen. You cannot do this. This is not the way it can be done. But let's just see how Cuomo presented this and how they kind of gin this up just to juice up the hate. So Kurt, 24, please.
CBP says the facility is air-conditioned. Reporters say it was sweltering in the facility. It is 99 degrees today in McAllen, Texas.
Look at
and
that.
These facilities were not
Is
made
that
to be
sick or what?
air-conditioned. So, you know, this is a losing
Have to
battle
wear
anyway.
masks. That's how bad
now,
it
we've been
smells.
telling you about this for months. These conditions are not new. They're being treated like they're new by the media who got to go there. That's understandable. But by politicians, too. These members of Congress, it's their job to go down there, and they should do that. They should go. But to pretend that they never heard of this until now, and that, boy, they upset at CBP and DHS. They have been told about the conditions by CBP and DHS for 6 months. The vice president went there as well. He had a different spin on the situation. Listen.
But remember, it was just a few short weeks ago that Congress finally acknowledged the crisis and gave us an additional $4.6 billion in humanitarian aid. Now, we're going to continue to improve. We're going to continue to provide care at the standard the American people expect. But Pamela, remember, for the last 6 months, Democrats in Congress said it was a manufactured crisis. And it was all we could do to finally get the Democrats in Congress to agree to give us additional funding to deal with this crisis.
Now listen, I got to be honest about something with you, okay? I have respect for Mike Pence. I've dealt with him in the past. I believe he takes his faith very seriously. I cannot believe, as someone who holds himself out as a Christian, that he would say that, knowing that you're going to hear it.
I can't believe it either.
This is the first time this has been recognized, and everybody was saying was a manufactured crisis. He knows damn well that this president sold people on a brown menace. That when we looked at those migrant caravans, he'd say, oh, they're all military age, and they're all MS-13, and they're drugged, and they're terrorists, and they're killers, and some, I assume, are good people. That's the quote.
Give them a pick and a shovel.
He never
They want to
talked
go
to
to
you about
work.
kids and families. Why am I heated up about this? Because look at what we're allowing in our country, and everybody is lying to you.
How could you work
this
there
president
like that
was told this
and
is
then
what
go
was
home
going to
to your
happen.
kids?
Only now do we hear Ken Cuccinelli, who's now in charge of the conditions of these people, saying, you know, over 50% of them are kids and women. You knew that. He's learning it for the first time. He just got in the job. The president knew it. The White House knew it. Mike Pence knew it. So it was a manufactured crisis because you were trying to scare people to sell your fence.
There
When you knew
you
your fence
go.
was a farce, you knew it wouldn't protect against this situation, and you were not in any rush to get ready for these conditions. And you declared a national emergency for a fence, which isn't just unconstitutional, but it is insignificant to dealing with this. Why don't you extend that emergency to this situation and do things? Well, we can't. Well, you couldn't do that either, but you did it anyway. Why? I'll tell you why. You're not going to hear this president talking about these conditions with compassion, have you? You're not going to see him come down there, have you? You're not going to see him with the kids, have you?
No.
Why? Because these kids' faces don't sell fear. These faces do. That's why they let them into these facilities. That's why they got to show cameras with the men. Harshness of these conditions work for this administration because they send a message of deterrence. You don't want to be like this, do you? Ooh. Now, what's the reality?
Guys, you know, the reality is if you were to show kids in nice quarters with beds and blankets and TVs and food, the right would go berserk. Look how well, look, they're in a country club. Oh, look, it's like going away to camp. They would go berserk. So what they do is they show people behind cages. Why? Because it's a brown menace. These people want to come in. They're going to take your jobs. They're going to rob you. They're going to rape your women and kids. Please stop. They're looking for work. Put them to work. Simple. We got plenty of work. And the way, hey, believe me, the way these guys, you know, to pay them $15 an hour, they'll do anything. You know? But anyway, what happens is, you know, Fox achieves its purpose and it incites the simple folk, and you get those two older ladies out of Burger King that go berserk, and for some reason they now think that because we have a racist in the White House, they can do the same thing that Trump does. So Kurt, number 25, please. He defended his staff from racist customers.
Go back to Mexico if you want to keep speaking Spanish. Go back to your Mexican your state.
Guess what, ma'am? I'm not Mexican. I'm not Mexican, but you're being very prejudiced, and I want you out of my restaurant right now.
I'll finish my meal and then I'll...
You know what? I'll do it for you, man. I'll call the cops and have you trespass. It'll be easier for me if easier for you to have people like you, so ignorant and disrespectful.
We are ignorant.
You're very ignorant and disrespectful. Have a great day and get out of my restaurant.
Don't worry,
Go.
This isn't your restaurant.
Yes, it is, ma'am.
It is not.
And it is, actually, as a matter of fact, it is. I hate to
Wow.
say it, but it is.
Wow.
And you know what? The owner of this franchise is Mexican.
The owner is a
He's never-
Mexican.
he's never-
Oh, mama.
Speak English.
No, they don't. He does not. You're very inconsiderate and you're very rude. So, you know, get your business somewhere else. Get your
Don't
business somewhere
worry.
else.
You don't have to. You don't know how to act by round.
Excuse me, you're telling me not to speak my native language? You're being really prejudiced, ma'am. You're being really prejudiced.
I didn't tell you. I said you should speak it
You know what?
around here.
I have nothing to say to you, ma'am. Just have a nice day, and don't come back.
Have a nice day and don't come
I'm glad you won't. No, we won't. I don't.
Wow, está bien. Wow. Se me hizo sueño realidad.
Go ahead, ma'am. I'm the general manager. You know what she told me? He said, you got to speak English in here. What? Yeah. Being prejudiced. Bye, ma'am. Have a great day. Don't come back. I promise you I will have you tested.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Have a nice day and don't come back. But you know why? And you know, I mean, I can almost understand if you think that that's one thing, but to say it out loud, you feel emboldened enough to go into somebody's restaurant and give the guy the business? What's right with you? Let me put it that way. But you know, guys, what happens? Once again, you get the Fox propaganda machine. And you're going to hear this colonel or general, and he says, I couldn't do it anymore. So, Kurt, let's let him tell us. Number 26.
For years, I was glad to be associated with Fox. It
Colonel
was a
Peters,
legitimate conservative and
Ralph
libertarian
Peters.
outlet, and a necessary one. But with the rise of Donald Trump, Fox did become a destructive propaganda machine. And I don't do propaganda for anyone.
And now Fox is sort of 75% of it seems to be, birther-like coverage of different issues. So that's been, I think, bad.
The idea of fair and balanced news appealed to me. But over the years, right-wing hosts drowned out straight journalism with partisan misinformation. I left.
I saw, in my view, Fox, particularly the primetime hosts, attacking our constitutional order, the rule of law, the Justice Department, the FBI, Robert Mueller, and oh, by the way, the intelligence agencies. And they're doing it for ratings and profit.
Ratings and
profits. Knowingly,
Any
in
questions?
My view, doing a grave disservice to our country.
The access that some at Fox have in the entertainment side to the president is questionable, if not dangerous. It's not normal.
We must never manipulate or invent. We must never knowingly deceive, because to do so is a disservice to our audience and potentially injurious to our society. And I'm convinced that upon those who intentionally inform or misinform, history will poorly reflect.
And this is what happens. And that's why when I use the term ass backwards, they get everything ass backwards because that's how they're told. You got guys like poor Kenny Johnson. He puts up a post the other day on how MS-13 was coming into Long Island. So I quickly, clicked on it and read it. The story's 10 years old. But you know what? Doesn't matter. The hate's still nice and fresh. And I said, Kenny, why did you put this up? What's right with you? Oh, I didn't realize. You didn't realize. They don't want you to realize. That's the beauty of the Republican Party. They want stupid people that vote. And you're one of them. Put up 10-year-old articles to, and I said, Kenny, cite your source. Oh, my source. That's my. Well, maybe I shouldn't have posted it. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have, you bonehead. But guys, the next clip, we're gonna, not only is there propaganda, but we're gonna show you who helped preach the propaganda. And that's Kellyanne Conjob. So Kurt, number 27.
I want to ask you about that.
With the men.
Because this is what came out of the Inspector General for the Department of Human Services of Homeland Security. They issued a report on July 2nd with this warning, and I want to put it on the screen. This is DHS Inspector General. Management alert. DHS needs to address dangerous overcrowding and prolonged detention of children and adults in the Rio Grande Valley. And I want to show, because the reporters were able to take pictures of the McAllen, Texas Center that you visited with the vice president. They're up on the screen. This was the pool report. Almost 400 men were in cage fences with no cots. The stench was horrendous. Some of the men were sleeping on concrete. They began shouting and wanted to tell us they had been in there 40 days or longer. I understand.
I was right there.
I understand that President Trump is trying to stop the flood of people across the border, which contributes.
Trying to accommodate those who are here.
Which contributes to the overcrowding. But how does it help for the president to minimize the situation and say it's much better than what they had, or for Vice President Pence and Kevin Quirk's piece to say they're all being well treated, when your own, I mean, you can look at the conditions there. It's a disaster.
Well, let me just say a couple things that are facts. First of all, not every facility is the same. And so,
but I'm talking about
a lot of worse than others.
And I'm talking about the one that the media who were on the same trip with us completely ignored in all of their coverage. They're also completely ignoring the briefings we received from the brave Customs and Border Protection
What do you say about
folks.
McAllen, Texas, Kelly?
What I would say is this, that facility was meant to be, this is what I was briefed on, that facility was meant to be a 72-hour holding facility. It's not equipped to keep a single males who have broken the law by coming here were apprehended. If you just want to let them go, then say that we just start open borders. And let's all be as honest as some of those Democrats raising their hands.
But is it helpful for the president to say, well, they're really, conditions are pretty good, and for Mike Pence to say they're pretty good?
In plenty of facilities, they have improved, including the one that we saw with the families. I saw the House Oversight Committee tweet out a picture of kids in quote cages, and the picture was from 2014 under Obama, Biden, and Jay Johnson. Oh yes, and let me explain to you. I want people treated humanely. That's why when I received the briefing with the senators and the vice president, with the media in the room, but they didn't publish any of this as far as I can see. Those men get 3 hot meals from local restaurants.
3 hot meals?
To showers.
They don't even get
no shower
water.
facilities there to accommodate that many people in the past, but there are now. There's a bank of showers in the back. They have access to deodorant. They have access to hygienic products. They have access to toothbrushes. And so, no, we don't want that, but that's why we also don't want people to come here illegally. And I would again quote the words of President Obama. He thinks that having the ICE enforcement actions was, quote, a deterrent from other people coming here.
Okay.
We don't...
You know, guys, sometimes I really wish there was a God, and I wish there was a heaven and a hell. And I wish that people like her would end up there. I mean, how could you sit there and lie for a living? Why would you want to do this? And she's got 4 kids, doesn't she? I mean, could she be as mentally sick as Trump? That you sit there and you tell people that what they're seeing, what they're looking at, they're not seeing? That there's showers behind? Oh, no, well, they don't want to take a shower. Water's too cold. Stop it. I made that up. That almost sounded good. But, hey, the next one we're going to show you is how many people in the Trump administration are just acting. I mean, nobody can work with this guy. Just about every, I think there's only 2 people left, Ben Carson and Perry. Yeah, the 2 people you never hear from are the only people left from the original cabinet. But listen, hey, let's have some fun while we're doing it. So anyway, let's take a look at Chuck Todd with acting actors, number 28, Kurt.
I said, you don't have to do this. He doesn't have to do this.
He had to do it.
And now we have new reporting tonight suggesting that the president may try to replace the nation's top intelligence chief, the director of national intelligence, Dan Coates, who's seemingly been in the Trump crosshairs for a while now, almost 1 year. I think we're almost 1 year to the day, where he basically had a bit of a conniption fit over the president and that crazy Helsinki moment with Putin. But folks, if you can believe it, when Acosta leaves next week, there will be at least 20 top leadership positions in this administration that are being led by an acting chief or no one at all. Look at this list. We got an acting labor secretary, an acting defense secretary. Actually, we've had 2 acting defense secretaries since Mattis' resignation. Chief of staff is acting, but he's about to be the longest serving chief of staff. You saw PBB. I can't even say the names fast enough, and they keep going, as you see here. And we're only showing you number 1s and number 2s in these vacancies. There are vacancies that are 3rd and 4th and 5th level down as well. So you may ask yourself, is this any way to run the government? And what happens if there's a crisis? Funny you should ask, because there is a humanitarian crisis at the border. And the administration's leadership team in charge of handling it has been decimated in a carousel of chaos. The DHS Secretary, Kirstjen Nielsen, resigned. So the acting DHS chief was pulled from the agency in charge of the border, the CBP. So now he's running DHS, not CBP, temporarily. CBP is now being run by someone who was the acting chief at ICE after a string of shakeups there. So he went from one acting job, he's now running the CPB, not ICE. Both jobs, temporarily, mind you. So now the deputy is temporarily running ICE, again, because the agency's 5th acting chief under Trump had to go run the CPB. CBP. because that chief had to go temporarily run the entire Department of Homeland Security. Whew. You may wonder, is that any way to run the border amidst a migrant crisis?
I'm all mixed up. I don't know who's doing what, but we're having a lot of fun doing it. How do you work for this guy? And let's see, the next clip we're going to play is from somebody with a bit of sense and with some logic who could try to explain to you what the hell is going on. So, Kurt, let's have play number 29 with Bernie and some economic justice. Hit it.
This is the New York Stock Exchange. This is the heart of Wall Street. I know that many people think that real power in this country rests in Washington, D.C., and Congress and the White House. Not necessarily true. Real power in this country rests right here. You have now 6 financial institutions, 6 largest banks in America, have assets equivalent to 50% of the GDP of America. That is over $10 trillion. They determine in their investments all over this country whether jobs stay in the United States or go abroad. They determine through their control of corporations whether workers earn a decent wage or whether CEOs make 300 times what their workers make. They determine whether people have health care or not. And at a time when many of the CEOs here, some of them are billionaires, come to Washington and they say, we got to cut Social Security, got to cut Medicare, got to cut Medicaid.
Entitlements have to be slowed down and contained.
Because we can't afford them going forward?
Because we can't afford them.
Please never forget that some 11 years ago, these same people, defenders of unfettered free enterprise, loving of rugged capitalism, they went begging to the United States Congress for the largest bailout in the history of this country. They got it against my vote. And what that meant is not only $700 billion from the Treasury, they got trillions of dollars in almost zero interest loans from the Federal Reserve. So these guys have the power, and we must never be put in a position, again, we're in a too big to fail situation. And whether they like it or not, what we have got to do is break up the major financial institutions. If a bank is too big to fail, it is, in my view, too big to exist. We also have to tell them that they cannot charge the American people outrageous levels of interest rates. Median interest rates in this country on credit cards something like 21%. So the time is now, if we're going to make real change in this country, to stand up not only to the drug companies, not only the insurance companies, not only the fossil fuel industry. At the top of the list are the crooks here on Wall Street.
Now you see why I like the guy so much. He pulls no punches. He tells you what's going on and what we can do to change things. And I tell you, he opened my eyes to so many things. You know, like where people that work at Walmart, you know, how the fact that they get paid so little that they qualify for food stamps. Well, if Bernie didn't tell me, I would have never known that. I wouldn't have known that some people don't get paid enough so they qualify for Section 8 housing. I didn't know that. But, you know, now we're starting to learn. And the thing is, you know, a lot of people don't want to learn. They would rather keep, I just can't understand it. But the next clip we're going to play, I'm telling you, this is good. This is Stephen King, and he equates, it's from the movie, he wrote the movie The Dead Zone, and this is Greg Stilson, who's running for president. And I want to tell you, the way they did this, and they compared the movie with Trump, I tell you guys, put your feet up. Once again, smoke if you got them, and we're going to have some fun. So, Kurt, 30A, please.
Do you think that the Trump presidency is scarier than a Stephen King novel?
Short answer to that is yes, I do. I do think it's scarier.
You're not the voice of the people. I am the voice of the people. I will be your voice.
I was sort of convinced that it was possible that a politician would arise who was so outside the mainstream and so willing to say anything that he would capture the imaginations of the American people.
A real estate con man. Sound familiar? Look familiar?
They take him as a joke at first because he has these rallies and he throws hot dogs to the crowd.
Look familiar?
And says, when Greg Stilson's elected, you're going to say, hot dog, we got a real mover and shaker at last.
You're going to be so tired of winning.
Crazy stuff that nobody would possibly believe, or so we thought, until Donald Trump came along.
The man is a clown. He goes charging around a speaking platform like that at every rally. So people want a giggle or two. Even more, they want to thumb their noses at a political establishment that doesn't seem able to solve anything.
When Greg Stilson actually gains a following, he has a cadre of bikers who support him.
You know, they're tough guys, right? Where are the bikers for Trump?
And they're at the rallies, and they're there to make sure that nobody heckles Greg Stilson.
Get him out of here! Get out! Knock the crap out of him, would you? Seriously.
Oh! The man had the high, hard, pumping delivery of a revival preacher. You could see a fine spray of spittle from his lips as he talked.
So I announced that I'm running for president.
What are we going to do in Washington? Throw the bombs out. A tremendous roar of approval ripped out of the crowd.
We're going to drain the swamp. Drain the swamp.
Guys, they drained the swamp and filled it up when things that are even worse. But you know, I tell you, didn't they do a beautiful job? So let's go to part two.
My worry at the time that I wrote The Dead Zone was that somebody like Greg Stilson might actually get elected and rise through the ranks, become president of the United States, and start World War III.
The missiles are flying.
Had I
Start
known,
World War III.
really known the future, I could have had Greg say, well, I've got a button and it's bigger than your button.
My button is bigger than yours and my button works.
Oh, mama.
The first scene in the book is Greg Stilson at the beginning of his career, and he's selling Bibles, actually. He's a door-to-door salesman.
The Bible! Nothing beats the Bible. Nothing beats the Bible, not even the art of the deal.
He's a huckster from the word go, and in that sense, he's got a lot of that Trump genome in him. And the first thing that you see Greg do is he comes out to a house that's empty, and the dog is outside and barks at him and then snags his leg. And Greg Stilson kicks the dog to death in the dooryard. The letters I got after that, oh my God, you know, it doesn't matter how many people die in books. The Stand, you know, 98% of the world's population gets decimated, but they care about the dogs, man.
You do love your dogs, don't you?
You're the talk of the town.
Because I got my head bashed in and I'm still here to talk about it.
Because you have the power of second sight.
You're magic. Like me.
I don't know about magic. I always called it The Shining.
The Shining. That's what
I don't think
saw.
that I necessarily predicted Donald Trump when I wrote The Dead Zone. I know that American voters have always had a real attraction to outsiders with the same kind of right-wing America First policy. And if that reminds people of Trump, I can't be sorry, because it was a character that I wrote. It was a boogeyman of mine, and I never wanted to see him actually on the American political scene. But we do seem to have a Greg Stilson as President of the United States.
You are an expert on books and bestsellers. Should people read the Mueller report?
Yes, I think people should read it. One of the things that you're going to be surprised at is how readable it is.
The Mueller report, Uncle Joey says he read the Mueller report, and Trump is completely exonerated. Well, isn't it going to be nice? Now, they moved the date to the 24th, so, we're going to have to wait another week, but now Mueller's going to testify for another hour. So, guys, this is going to be fun. And don't forget, from our last show, Trump said that by this coming Friday, he was going to lower everybody's drug prices, and he was going to get us favored nation status and save us all a shitload of money. Well, he's got till Friday, but as you can probably guess, our dear leader was probably giving us the old double reverse. And Kurt, I think we got enough time for one more clip, and we're going to show you. I tell you what, instead of doing the 31,
You got just over a minute.
all right, let's just go to the very beginning of number 32 and let it run, because I want everybody to see how the graphics that Fox puts up, so without even saying a word, how they can brainwash the simple folk. So play the clip. I'll talk over it, but like I said, number 32, Kurt. And guys, watch the graphics and watch the bottom third.
Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Tucker Carlson Tonight this Friday.
Special edition.
The thing about climate change is it's serious
The green new
Very
mess.
serious.
So
It's
right
not like
away,
the
what's
frivolous
the
concerns that
implication?
fill your days,
The
like
climate
paying your
plan
bills or
wasn't
keeping your marriage
about the
together,
environment
putting your
at
kids
all.
through school or fighting cancer.
And all you got to do
Climate change
is
is bigger
sit
than
home
that.
and
Way
look at that.
bigger.
And
It's about
what's the
saving the Earth.
immediate
It's about
conclusion
taking
you
on what
come
we're going to call an existential
Tucker didn't
threat
have to say
to
a
humanity.
word. All
It's a
he
big
had to
deal,
do was
man.
put up the graphics.
Nobody understands the gravity of climate change with quite the soul-searing intensity of freshman Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. When Ocasio-Cortez talks about climate change and the Green New Deal she promises will save us from climate change, she often looks like she's going to start to cry or start to yell or both. And why wouldn't she? It's scary as hell. Time is running out.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. Like, this is the war. This is our World War II.
There you go.
Now, you can
The
disagree
war
with the
on carbon.
details of the Green
Really
New Deal she's
simple.
proposing, banning cars and airplanes, for
Beautiful.
example,
Nice job,
shutting down
Kurt.
the entire American
Guys, I
energy
wanna
sector,
thank Kurt.
rebuilding every dwelling in the
Really
United
helped a
States.
lot. He's done
You
everything.
can disagree with that. But what you can't
Candy's been
question is
terrific.
Ocasio-Cortez's
Everything seems to be going
sincerity.
well.
When she talks about
we gotta
climate
take
change,
down Marco's
clearly,
graphic.
she really means it.
Marco said
Or does she?
sometimes we get too political
This is
for
a
his
man
pizza.
called
I said,
Psy-Cat
Marco,
Chakrabarty.
as long
He's
as they're
Alexandria
eating your pizza while they're
Ocasio-Cortez's chief
getting
of staff over in
political,
the Congress.
who cares?
He personally led the writing of the Green New Deal.
Guys, we'll see
The
you
Washington
next
Post
week,
just profiled
and I have no
Chakrabarty.
idea
In
what's
the
going to
interview,
come up
Chakrabarty
with
made a
Trump.
stunning admission.
I'm sure it'll be something classic.